Let's do a chorus rant real quick. What is a chorus? Like, it's named chorus. A chorus is a music ensemble of singers that get together and all sing from the same hymn book. They're oftentimes the most devout members of a congregation, like a church. So what is chorus? Chorus is trying to find the biggest Democratic Party shills and have them sing from the same playbook. Who's writing that playbook? The people writing those playbook are the pro-genocide AIPAC lobbyists. They are the people that said Joe Biden shouldn't drop out. They are the people that said Joe Biden is healthy. He'll beat Donald Trump. They're the people that tell you that we can't get student loan forgiveness. We can't get health care. We can't get peaceful foreign policy. We can't get a Green New Deal. Those are the people who call it a green dream. That is what chorus is. It's about creating propaganda. Who is that propaganda aimed at? It's not aimed at moderate voters. It's not aimed at disenchanted voters. Chorus is intended to be aimed at the people already in the Democratic Party congregation, the people that voted for Kamala Harris. That's what chorus is for. Chorus is about creating a bubble of the Democratic Party base for our next generation. It's about creating the MSNBC libs of the internet. It's about making you TikTok libs. It's about making you the same type of people that voted for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 primary. The same type of people that voted for Joe Biden in the 2020 primary. That's what chorus is. Chorus is an attempt to speak to Democratic Party voters so that they don't vote for anybody on the left in the primary. It is an intra-party group intended to propagandize Democratic primary voters so they don't vote for someone like Zohran again. They don't vote for somebody like AOC. They don't vote for somebody like Bernie in the next presidential primary. They're trying to keep you trapped in the mind prison of Gavin Newsom, of so-called electability. That's what it's for. That's the chorus. It is propaganda for Democrats, to Democratic base voters. That's what the dark money is for. The dark money is intended to win a Democratic primary fight. Whether the Democratic Party is going to be a party that fights fascism, that fights imperialism, that fights for you and social democracy or some other outcome, or if it's going to be a party of the elite, of the establishment, of corporate America. That's what chorus is for. Chorus is about incentivizing as many young people to sing from the hymn book of corporate centrism as they can buy. And it's not just my personal opinion. This is the fact.
Following the progressive media ecosystem for years now, we finally got an exciting update. I'm part of a team of creators that's created Chorus Media. Chorus is a creator-led group of voices from the left coming together to scale up, drive the conversation online, and try and rebalance the massive disparity at play on the left and the right. So here's the deal. Chorus is going to support left-wing creators in a bunch of tangible ways, funding editors and researchers and bookers, helping creators who are established on one platform make sure they've got a presence on the others, and coordinating our messaging. Now, for me specifically, I'm not going to accept any funding. That money needs to go to new creators and the folks who can help them grow, but I'll be focused on message coordination. It is felt...
Message coordination. Well, what message? They're mad about TikTok, chat. They're mad that TikTok has made a generation of Americans, whether they're right-wing, centrist, or left-wing, opposed to Israel. They're mad that TikTok is promoting candidates like Zohran Mamdani over candidates like Andrew Cuomo. That's why Brian Tyler Cohen and David Pakman have been selected, because they do not give a shit about promoting the left wing in America. They are about promoting the establishment. If you want candidates like Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries, that's what Chorus is for. Do you want more Andrew Cuomo's? That's what Chorus is for. Do you want more Hillary Clintons? That's what Chorus is for. If you're like me and you're like the majority of Americans and you're like, oh my God, that would be terrible, you are their enemy. And that's what Chorus is for. It's about creating an incentive. I mean, this guy is an absolute fraud. He didn't say a word about Zohran until after Zohran won to try to grab some algorithmic boosts. And he posted, what, one short about Zohran shitting on Trump after he won?
Yesterday, Donald Trump said that I should be arrested. He said that I should be deported. he said that I should be denaturalized.
I mean, this guy has no interest whatsoever in actually building the left. Well, I mean, let's do Gaza. No posts? No posts at all? Not once? Not a single time did you make a single video that has the word Gaza in the title? Palestine. 0 videos on Palestine. You're a news show. You're not going to cover one of America's foreign policy nightmares? You're not going to talk about it at all? I mean, this guy can't be trusted with a popsicle stand. You're going to sit here and you're not going to talk about what is a clear man-made famine. No videos of genocide, no video of Palestine, no Gaza. I mean, how is this possible? What about Israel? Obama spokesperson shuts down top Republican over Israel post. That's the only time you've ever said Israel? Was 1 year ago you said Israel once? You're not going to cover a genocide that 90% of Democrats think is a genocide? I think it was actually 77% of Democrats think it's a genocide. It's like 6% don't or something. Do you guys have that poll? This is who you guys want to support? This is the guy? This is your man's? Okay, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe David Pakman is going to say something.
Watch this guy Pac-Man. He's good. Pac-Man.
Trump demands a thank you for Gaza aid. Did Harris lose because of Gaza? All right, let's see what he says.
Genocide lost her Michigan. It's disingenuous of you to ignore the impact of Gaza in the election. It wasn't the main reason she lost, but it was very significant. She let Trump pass her on the left as an anti-war candidate. Doesn't matter if it's only lip service, he said the right things. Trump has said he would just let Israel finish the job. That's not anti-war. There's no interpretation of that is anti-war. Trump would have just said, go ahead and level Gaza completely. And
this, ladies and gentlemen, this is propaganda. Now, I'm not saying that Trump didn't say that out of one corner of his mouth, but he also went to Michigan and he campaigned with a bunch of Muslim and American leaders in Michigan. And he said, I'm going to get this war to end. It's really, and he said dumb shit. Now, everybody knows that Donald Trump is a liar. Okay. But people were grabbing onto any branch or any straw and it snapped in their hands. I didn't say vote for Trump for that exact reason because I knew he was a fucking Sheldon Adelson puppet liar. But if you don't think people were tricked on that issue, you're a fucking liar. And this is it? 30 seconds short? It's not about Trump being better. It's about Democrats offending their base and millions of people staying on the couch. And in Michigan, we know for a fact that there were precincts that swung 111% toward Trump. And there were 34 polls. In September, we had a mountain of evidence that if Kamala Harris had come out in favor of an immediate ceasefire and weapons embargo, it would have made her more likely to win. Endorsing Israel arms embargo would boost Harris's support to 49%. She would have won. Most Americans want the U.S. to stop sending weapons to Israel. Voters want the U.S. to call for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and prioritize diplomacy. Like, the United States voter, Americans wanted the war to end, period. It's not even close. Not only are they just ignoring a genocide being paid for by our tax dollars, perpetuated by an ally of the United States, how can you call yourself a liberal? This is what I don't understand. How the fuck can you call yourself a goddamn liberal if you're standing there as children are bombed with your weapons and you say nothing? How the fuck can you sit there and starve innocent men, women, and children to death and say nothing? I mean, now Donald Trump is doing it. Donald Trump is doing it. This is the perfect opportunity to come out. It's come out against the war in Gaza. I was cynical, chat. I thought that a lot of these people like David Pakman, after the war was over, or excuse me, after the election was over, they would come out and suddenly find their anti-war bones. I thought they would suddenly come out and be like, oh God, Donald Trump has made it so much worse. Biden was fighting tirelessly for a ceasefire, and now Trump is doing a full-blown genocide. Isn't this terrible? There's a genocide in Gaza, everyone, being done by Trump. I thought that they would do that. I was wrong. They're even more corrupt than I thought. I'm cynical. I thought, well, they cover it up for the Democrats, but when Donald Trump gets in office, David Pakman will find his voice and start calling it a genocide. No! No, he is an Israeli shill. He's taking the money for the Israeli lobby. Parnas is the same way. Brian Tyler Cohen. I'd say the sweetest part of this is that her father has openly praised and pandered the guy currently committing genocide on these refugees' countrymen. Now, listen, I think there is definitely evidence that Russia has committed acts that constitute crimes against humanity. I think it's very safe to say that the war in the Ukraine by Russia is an illegal war of aggression, war crime. I think that Russia has killed a lot of civilians because of imprecise use of weapons. It's a war criminal regime, no doubt about it. But as far as I know, they're not committing an intentional starvation famine. As far as I know, they're not setting up concentration camps and putting all Ukrainians into a free fire zone where they bomb the refugee tents. Israel is doing an absolute genocide. They just published a plan to set up a forcible evacuation or concentration camp plan on top of killing more journalists that died in World War I and World War II combined and preventing international journalists from going in and reporting. As far as I know, that has not happened in the Ukraine anywhere near to the same extent. So if you're very comfortable saying Russia is committing a genocide in Ukraine, then you should be screaming from the top of your lungs that Israel is committing a genocide. Everything that Russia is doing to Ukraine, Israel is doing to Gaza tenfold. Several hundred kids have been killed in the Ukraine by Russia's invasion. Horrible war crime. I hope they investigate and prosecute every single death. But tens of thousands of children have been wantonly slaughtered in Gaza. Ukraine is getting hundreds of billions of dollars from the West and the United States and money and weapons to fight Russia. We are giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel to destroy the Gazan people. There is absolutely no equivalence between the two at all. Clearly, what's going on in Israel is far, far, far more extreme, far more criminal. And that doesn't mean that Russia is not criminal. It doesn't mean Russia is not bad. Russia is fucking terrible. Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. But to talk about one and not the other is hackery.
From it, I covered that in my other video. David Pakman is a way worse case where he's been anti-BDS, pro-Israel.
Black Lives Matter says that BDS is a movement which shares their goals of an end to the war against black people. Number one, most black people in Israel are not in Gaza or the West Bank, but in Israel proper. If you ask them, would you rather be here or in Gaza or the West Bank? Figure out what they say. You will be very interested at the results of what they will tell you. When we talk about the principle...
Wait, he's saying, ask citizens of an occupying power and colony whether they'd rather be in the colony proper or live in the concentration camps? What the fuck are you talking about?
Of humanitarianism and human rights, one of those principles is the worst first, and there is no basis under which one could argue, if we are just to look at the world and say, let's apply BDS tactics to the worst first, that you would have a group that is solely focused on Israel. Absolutely undeniable.
And basically, when Hamas attacked in October 2023, he saw that as the chance to actually start pushing his pro-Israel narratives. And even you remember the first hospital that was attacked by Israel, he was blaming a group called Palestine Jihad and basically pushing out Israeli propaganda to his audience.
Right now, we have democratic countries who, if they make a mistake or lie, are subject to negative consequences, saying this wasn't Israel. They've released information, radar, audio, video. Internal assessments agree.
Mike, back when I was a soft on David Pakman, you snapped me out of it years ago. You clocked him years ahead of everyone else. Doesn't matter. Do people value that? Do people value that? I mean, I see people succeeding on this platform who have no analysis and are just really grifting. Really, really grifting. I mean, it blows my mind. Yes, I was right about David Pakman. Yes, I was right about Brian Taylor Cohen. Yes, I was right about all these fucking Vosh and Destiny. Yes, I was the first person to fight Bo of the Fifth Column. Yes, I was the first person to expose these sex criminals. I was the first person to fight all these creators. What my reward has been to be slandered by as many people as possible because because I was the main enemy of Destiny. I was the main enemy of Vosh. I mean, I'm attacked by Asmongold, Ethan Klein, Destiny. I was attacked by PewDiePie. What is my reward? Do I get a bunch of solidarity from grifters on this platform, from all these other grifters? You see people going, wow, Mike was right about all these people, and now he's saying so-and-so is bad. Maybe we should listen to him. Mike, you're helping me and my family help radicalize my dad. Good. I hope for all the parents that are being forced to watch me, I'm sorry for yelling and being angry. The world doesn't work the way it used to. I'm old. I'm an elder millennial. So I know I caught visions of how the world used to work. Had my parents been a little bit more generous with me and helped me buy a home in 2006 or something, when I got, when I was in my early 20s, I would have been set. Okay, let's go back to making fun of these motherfuckers.
This was not Israel. On the other hand, you have a terrorist authoritarian group with no checks and balances and no consequences for lying, saying it was Israel. And if you don't believe that there's no consequences to lying, there are still members of Congress who on Monday tweeted Israel killed 500 people at a Gaza hospital. Now that it's...
By the way, chat, David Pakman has had it out for Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar since the moment they got into office. Every time there was a right-wing opportunity to go after them, he has. And whenever stuff happens to them, he doesn't make any videos about it. 2 million Gazans are now starving as Israeli protesters block aid trucks while flying dozens of Israeli flags. Not a word from David Pakman. I mean, just search David Pakman from me and you'll see that I hate this motherfucker, and I've hated him for 5 years plus. Once I saw that he was a fraud. You know what made me think that David Pakman was a fraud, chat? You know what made me realize he was a fraud? He wouldn't endorse Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders wins Iowa. Bernie Sanders wins New Hampshire. And he wouldn't endorse Bernie. He wouldn't endorse Bernie Sanders. He's that much of a Zionist. And he knew that Bernie Sanders would represent a shift on Israeli policy away from pure Zionism. So he refused to endorse Bernie. He only endorsed Bernie after Nevada, and it looked like Bernie had it in the bag. That David Pakman's endorsement of Bernie was like the kiss of death. Like he bought Bernie at the exact top. I said this yesterday, chat, or sorry, on Saturday. David Pakman, Brian Tyler Cohen, and Aaron Parnas are genocide deniers. They simply do not cover it because AIPAC donors don't want them to. Pure corruption. Almost all Americans under the age of 40 are completely opposed to the crime going on in Gaza. These motherfuckers don't give a shit. David Pakman, weapons embargo, no tweets. Gaza famine, no tweets. Gaza genocide, no tweets. This guy is a propagandist. The only video he made was October 20th when he thought he had an opportunity to tweak the noses of people that were opposed to Israel's genocide. He was like, you got this factually wrong. Actually, it was a rocket that hit the hospital, and it was from Islamic Jihad. It turns out that it was a artillery shell fired from Israel. Did he ever make a follow-up victory? Nope. I generally struggle to see any motivation for secular liberal Zionists other than Nazi-style beliefs about ethnic superiority of Jews. It's just, it isn't ethnic superiority of Jews. It's ethnic superiority of Israeli self-described Jewish population. It is not Jewish people. It is this constructed Zionist national identity that's also around this concept of Jewishness, which is completely separated from the Jewish religion. It's a nationalism. It's why Ben-Gurion and all these guys, they were atheists. They were atheist Jewish supremacists. Like, it's not about, that's the thing. It's not about Judaism as a belief system. Brian Tyler Cohen famine doesn't exist. Let's talk about the first time I shat on David Pakman. I really don't like David Pakman. I really don't like Pakman. LOL, you like David Pakman? Me making fun of Vosh. Look at this. By the way, look how many people shat on me. This is the picture of me Deepak's manager used on Insta. LMAO. LOL, you like David Pakman? Which left-wing YouTubers do you not hate? The ones that aren't Islamophobic. Clocked. By the way, are any of the Vosh orbiters going to come out and say Mike was right? And actually, Mike is really wise and smart and knows how to sniff out a rat. Chat, remember this. Tomorrow, just remember this. I don't want to hear any of you complaining I don't want to hear it. When was Pakman Islamophobic? Go take a look at his videos on Linda Sarsour, Key Bernie Surrogate, or his videos on Ilhan Omar's tweets when she was the focus of a right-wing hate mob. He fed into the narrative. Also, he never made a video when Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib were banned from Israel. Curious that. I'll be more surprised if Vosh likes you. I agree. Do you give Sam Cedar shit for associating with David Pakman as well? Yes. Why do you think that, I mean, of course.
Abundantly clear that it wasn't Israel. They have not deleted their tweets. Some of them have even doubled down. It also has to be recognized that after a terrorist attack, countries will defend themselves.
To be fair, Majority Report over the last year, so I've since been watching if it talks some shit about a Pakman. Yeah, but okay, 5 years after it was obvious he was a disgusting Islamophobe. Like, come on.
It happened here with Hamas to anywhere around the world. And we would be saying, well, the victims have to defend themselves. But the attacks on me as I thought you were a progressive, I want to hear which progressive value I'm not espousing. Are you a progressive?
Humanitarian equality.
If you are, then how on earth do you stand in favor of an outrageous, terroristic, authoritarian regime that subjugates women, puts its own people in harm's way?
Which war is he supporting of Israel's? Is it war on Iran? Is it suppressing Palestinians? Is it... like, which war of American imperialism is he defending? I can't even guess.
Way uses civilians as shields, opposes gay rights, women's rights, pluralism, diversity of every kind. Everything that supposed leftists claim to defend and support, the way I do, is attacked by Hamas.
Obviously, when it became clear what was happening to a lot of people in liberal media, he basically shut up about it for the longest time, occasionally responding to audience calls about it.
One of the things that seems to be very clear is that this is so crazy to think about it this way, but the idea that Israel would take the time and incur the cost to randomly target 4 civilians just walking down the road doesn't comport with anything we know about how the Israeli military operates. You can say a lot of things about the Israeli military. I struggle to think that they are going to, quite frankly, waste ordnance on 4 random civilians walking down a road.
And Pakman has a very long history, like I said, of supporting Israel. He even somehow tried to make it seem like Malcolm X supported Zionism. Absolutely wild.
People forget that actually many African American activists and thinkers were on the side of what is colloquially called, used to be called Zionism, which now is like a bad word. It used to mean just a place where Jews can be safe and not get kicked out of, right? And even Malcolm X declared...
That place is called the United States of America. At least it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be our value.
The year before he was assassinated, that Pan-Africanism will do for the people of African descent all over the world the same that Zionism has done for the Jews all over the world. Now, to be clear, I'm not using the sort of caricature definition of Zionism of settlements and right-wing governments like Benjamin Netanyahu.
The longest serving prime minister of Israel is Benjamin Netanyahu. But if you talk about Israel as the Benjamin Netanyahu country, now suddenly you're being ridiculous. You can't describe American foreign policy through the actions of George Bush and Donald Trump. That would be anti-Americanism.
I am unequivocally opposed to those. I am saying Zionism in the form from the 1920s that is being used here.
Mike, Netanyahu said if Israel wanted to commit genocide, the process would take approximately 1 day, except it wouldn't. Like, why do you think this is a strong argument? If the Israelis were just point blank mass murdering in concentration camps the same way as they did in the Holocaust, which didn't take 1 day, by the way. There were 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust, dumb fuck. It didn't happen in a day. They had to go and gather them up and kill them. Like, what the fuck do you talk? What, they're going to nuke Gaza with the prevailing winds to go east and what, put fallout over Israel? So they can't do nukes. and they can't do the genocide the same way that the Germans did. This is exactly how you would do a genocide if you wanted to do a genocide. If you were a small puppet state, you would use the leverage you have with your patron to do as much damage as possible to the people, and then you would cut off food and water and medicine and electricity and outside assistance, and you would just wait until everybody died because there's no more food, there's no farms, you sink all the fishing boats, you kill all the wildlife, you destroy every structure, you destroy every grain silo, you destroy every greenhouse, you destroy every field, which is what Israel has done, carving huge stars of David in the ripped up earth. You uproot every olive tree. That's exactly what Israel has done to Gaza. So what the fuck are you talking about, dumb fuck? No, man, the United Nations is lying. The International Criminal Court is lying. Amnesty International is lying. Doctors Without Borders is lying. The World Food Program is lying. The World Central Kitchen is lying. The Red Cross and Red Crescent are lying. The Norwegian Refugee Organization is lying. Everyone's lying but Israel.
There should be something like Israel that exists.
But these two have a long history
What
of
a cowardly ass
insane
bitch.
blue
Post on your
megaslop.
main, pussy.
And I think David Pakman specifically is an
Post on
actual
your main,
grifter
pussy.
in that we covered that on the other video.
What a dumb fuck.
He has taken every single fucking sponsorship under the sun, including super shady crypto sponsorships, which his own audience called him out for, right? So this is, of course, the type of guy who would probably take $8,000 from a group and sign a form saying that he won't tell anyone. Now, I find both of these people completely irredeemable. Saying bad things about Donald Trump and the Republicans, who gives a fuck at this point, right? If you're not criticizing the entire system and acting like the Democrats will save you from fascism when they've pretty much enabled Trump this entire time, I don't know what to tell you. And also, these guys are pro-Israel. They never criticize Democrats for their Gaza stance, and they barely criticize Republicans for that either. Primarily boost Democrat politicians that are pro-Israel. And now it's coming out about the funding.
The International Association of Genocide Scholars. The world's leading Genocide Scholars Association has overwhelmingly passed a resolution saying that the legal criteria have been met to establish that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. 86% of those who voted among the 500-member International Association of Genocide Scholars backed the resolution declaring Israel's policies and actions in Gaza meet the legal definition of genocide in Article 2 of the United Nations Convention for the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, 1948. Therefore, the International Association of Genocide Scholars declares that the Israel's policies and actions in Gaza meet the legal definition of genocide, that Israel's policies and action at Gaza constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity as defined in international humanitarian law. It calls upon the government of Israel to immediately cease all acts that constitute genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity against Palestinians in Gaza, including deliberate attacks and killing of civilians, including children, starvation, deprivation of humanitarian aid, water, fuel, and other items essential to the survival of the population, sexual and reproductive violence, and forced displacement of the population. It calls upon the government of Israel to comply with the provisional measures orders of the International Court of Justice, calls upon the state parties of the International Criminal Court to comply with their obligations, cooperate with the court, and surrender any individual subject to an arrest warrant, and calls upon all states to actively pursue policies to ensure respect for their obligations under international law, including under the Genocide Convention, the Arms Trade Treaty, and international humanitarian law with regards to Israel and Palestine, and calls upon the government of Israel and all other United Nations members to support a process of repair and transitional justice that will afford democracy, freedom, dignity, and security for all people of Gaza. Passed 31 August 2025.
For other content creators that are pro-Israel, if you care about Palestine, you should care about this. You should care about secret dark money groups funding content creators secretly and basically paying them off. And you know, if these content creators hard pivoted into being like an anti-Israeli TikTok page or YouTube channel, the funding would not stay, would it? So now we've established who two of the primary villains are. Let's get into the Taylor Lorenz article, because if you've been caught...
I mean, that's just... I mean, there you go. Thank you. You know, I don't know how I'm not subscribed. What the fuck? Anyway, do what I just did and subscribe. Like, these guys are absolute scum.